Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bienvenue à cette séance du conseil qui est tenue ce soir en huis clos. Les membres du conseil assistent d'une manière virtuelle conformément au arrêté ministériel numéro 20-074. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our council meeting this evening. It's being held in camera, conforming to the ministerial decree. I'm joined tonight by our councillors Colleen Feeney, Elizabeth Yulin, Maria Torres, Dino Mazzoni, as well as our Director General Maître Raphael Destasio, our Town Clerk Claude Gilbert, and our Communications Officer Elizabeth Roy. Alors, si je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir de l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, j'appuie la proposition.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. L'adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît. Adoption of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to adopt the agenda of the regular meeting of today, Monday, September 20, 2021, modified as follows by adding item 12A, which is titled Agreement on the Relocation of an Electric Pole on Lot 1292196.
Thank you very much. Councilor Mazzoni, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much, Councilor Yulin. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. L'approbation des procès-verbaux, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'approuver les procès-verbaux de la séance régulière du conseil tenue le 30 août 2021.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. Thank you very much. So we're going to move right on to the report of the mayor. So good evening, everybody. Bonsoir à tous. Welcome to our regular council meeting. We will answer questions from the residents that have been submitted until 3 p.m. today on any topic. In the second question period, we will take questions pertaining to the agenda only, submitted via our website during this meeting. Bienvenue à notre réunion régulière du conseil municipal. Nous répondrons aux questions des résidents soumis jusqu'à 15 heures aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Au cours de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives à l'ordre du jour soumis via notre site web lors de cette réunion. My first point, I would like to follow up on a question asked at our last council meeting concerning some proposed changes on the Parmalat property that is situated in the Côte-des-Neiges Notre-Dame-de-Grâce borough, but that borders Montreal-Ouest. The changes proposed include the demolition of the old Salvation Army building and its replacement by a landscaping project, modification of the Parmalat facade to better hide the mechanical equipment located outside the building, enlarging the building on the back side, on the side opposite the border with Montreal-West, installation of visual and acoustic screens behind the property on the side of the Montreal-West border to minimize the visual and auditory nuisances generated by their operations, installation of a generator and 2 water towers in the back of the property on the side bordering Montreal-West. And they've said that they will plant additional trees to help alleviate any extra nuisance. And they will be arranging a parking lot on the opposite side of the Parmalat property. There has not been much public information to share with regards to the sports and recreation, but rest assured that things are still on track. We're in the process of issuing a call for tenders for professional services to design the center. The professional will then embark on the design process that will happen in conjunction with consultations with different focus groups and users of the facility. And with that design will come updated cost estimates. In parallel, Scott McKenzie and his team are developing the fundraising program that will be a key component in the financing structure of the project. As I have stated, we're committed to achieving our goal of a tax increase of $100 for the average value home in town. Même s'il n'y a pas eu beaucoup d'informations à partager, soyez assurés que les choses sont toujours en bonne voie avec le Centre des sports et loisirs. Nous sommes en train de lancer un appel d'offres pour les services professionnels pour la conception du centre. Le professionnel se lancera ensuite dans le processus de conception qui se déroulera conjointement avec des consultations avec des différentes tables de concertation et utilisateurs de l'installation. Avec cette conception, des estimations d'écoute mises à jour viendront. En parallèle, Scott McKenzie et son équipe élaborent le programme de financement qui sera un élément clé de la structure de financement de ce projet. Comme je l'ai dit, nous nous engageons à atteindre notre objectif d'une augmentation d'impôts de 100 piastres pour une maison d'une valeur moyenne de la ville. I have the honor of presiding over the Association of Suburban Municipalities, the ASM. The ASM is the organization representing the demerged municipalities on the island of Montreal. The demerged towns sit at the agglomeration council with Montreal and discuss shared services like public security, public transportation, potable water, etc. We've been pushing back against Montreal, trying to get a fairer way to share the costs for these shared services. Unfortunately, we have not had any concrete success at the negotiating table with Montreal. It is pointless to have negotiations when one party is making propositions and the other party is just sitting there simply refuting our position without advancing any of their own. We've been in constant touch with contact with the Minister of Municipal Affairs to help move this process along to a more equitable solution. L'AMB présentera une mémoire à l'Assemblée nationale lors des audiences du commission étudiant le projet de la loi 96. Bien que ce projet de loi regorge de nombreux points pouvant affecter négativement la communauté anglophone de Québec, l'AMB se concentrera uniquement sur les problèmes qui touchent les municipalités. La mairesse de Senneville, Julie Brisebois, et moi-même participerons à ces audiences à la fin du mois. The ASM will be presenting a brief to the National Assembly during the committee hearings studying Bill 96. Though the bill is fraught with so many points that can negatively affect the English-speaking community in Quebec, the ASM will focus just on the issues that affect municipalities. Senneville Mayor Julie Brisebois and I will be presenting to those hearings at the end of the month. That's the end of my report. Please stay safe and stay healthy. Merci. All right, back to the agenda. We're going to go right to councillors' reports. And this evening, we're starting with seat number 1, reporting on matters pertaining to public security and to special projects fundraising, Councillor Dino Mazzoni. Councillor Mazzoni, you're on mute still?
I pulled a Maria. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you everyone here on this election night in Canada. Some information about our departmental activity on the public security side. So our PSOs have been present at and about all of the 3 schools in our territory, and as much as possible in order to avoid the school year starting on the wrong foot. As with every new school year, we get new parents that may be unfamiliar with the sector. We try to offer information and solutions of where and when to park safely around the school. However, we cannot tolerate the following: stopping in no stopping parking stopping zones, parking in no parking zones, and stopping on top of or obstructing crosswalks or blocking private driveways. I've actually been witness to that a bit over the last few weeks. Our PSOs have and will continue to issue tickets for such offenses, and we ask the parents arrive early, be patient, and take their time and properly park for obvious safety reasons. Now, again, for parents or for anyone for that matter who do not respect the rules, remember that if a PSO actually witnesses the infraction, a ticket can also be issued by mail to the owner of the vehicle. We've been also focusing on a couple of recurring garbage complaints on Westminster between Curzon and Milner, and in the commercial sections of Ronald Drive. Tickets were issued again to a property on Ronald for not maintaining their grass, and to a property on Westminster for accumulating garbage and not storing it properly between collections. And finally, the PSOs have also been focusing on complaints with respect to dogs in schoolyards and sports fields. Again, we encourage that you please respect our bylaws, which prohibit really the presence of dogs in such places. Regarding a specific COVID-19 measures, we haven't been reporting on any of that for a while, but now what we do want to mention is that we haven't put any new measures in the town this month, except that the vaccine passport will be required as of September 1 for certain recreational or cultural events such as fitness classes, etc. And so you're encouraged, if you have an iPhone or an Android, to download the Vaxi code, the Vaxi app, I should say, and certainly make sure that you have that available if you want to participate in those activities. Some crime stats. I've been trying to get information about one specific one that concerns me a little bit. The police in our town, the SPBM Station 9, reported 4 crimes for the month of August. Unfortunately, the typical 2 thefts of vehicles, which seems to be happening a little bit of late, and no information on that. A theft from inside of a vehicle, and there was 1 sexual aggression that took place. I've tried to get information now. The most I can get is it's a delicate matter, and the police will be providing us with details shortly. What else can I really speak of that would be of interest? Again, there's really nothing to speak of per se. We're going to make an announcement at our last meeting before the elections for municipal council on October 4th. And at that last meeting, we'll talk about our standard leaf blower announcement, but I'll leave it till then. Really nothing much more to say other than we continue to issue tickets to people. We issued 130 parking tickets for the month of September so far. We really do ask that you respect the rules in our town. I have to say, particularly, I've spoken to a few of the principals over the last 2 weeks of 2 of our schools to mention that I've noticed a little bit of some of the parents not really following the rules. And just an internal thing, we're looking at some CVs, and we're going to be getting a new PSO shortly to replace Anthony, who left us to go join the Canadian Border Securities Agency. So that's it for my report, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, if anybody has any questions, you can certainly ask them at the tail end of this meeting, and I'll answer them. If not, you can call me or text me on my cell phone, 514-949-3055. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. Reporting from seat number 2 on matters pertaining to communications, recreation, and culture, Councillor Elizabeth Hewlin.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous. We'll start the fall with the community center. The fall community center registration has gone well, and residents have been happy to have the option of online or in-person classes. As Councillor Mazzoni just pointed out, all adult and teen participants must present their vaccine passport in order to join the indoor classes. We've also added some outdoor warrior classes for those who want to work out no matter the weather with Mo Wester, Kenny Drummond. In addition to the regularly scheduled seniors activities, we've launched a step-by-step program where a group meets at the community center, takes a 45-minute walk around the town, and then returns for refreshments in Davies Park. This has been very popular, especially when people are anxious to get out and not have to be wearing masks inside. In special events on September 11th, we had a chamber music concert in Davies Park and a mandala Bollywood dance on the 12th. Coming up on October 2nd at 10 a.m. is a Zoom presentation on Vietnam traditions and travel, and you can register for this if you like on Amelia. The pool season, of course, now is closed. It closed the weekend of September 11th, and by all accounts, it was very successful. We received many thanks from residents about how safe they felt at the pool, and we're very grateful to the staff for their efforts. So I'd like to publicly thank them for that. It's always challenging to work in a pool setting, but during the pandemic, even more so. So we're very grateful to have those lifeguards and employees that made it safe for everyone. New in the parks this month is a multi-person swing bench, at Strathern Park. It's for all ages, and I urge you to check it out. In fact, Councillor Feeney and I had a lovely swing on it just last week, and I can attest that it's a lot of fun. The online artist showcase submissions deadline is September 24th, and the theme this time is Remembrance. That's tying in with the Cenitas 100th anniversary. The arena will be opening for programming and free skate on September 27th. As with the indoor fitness classes, adults and teens must show their vaccine passports. So please check on the website for full details and scheduling. And lastly, I'll switch to the communications portfolio and just let you know that the department's been working largely on matters related to the fall activities and, of course, the upcoming municipal election. That's it for me. As Dina Mazzoni mentioned, if you have any questions for me, you can post them at the end of this council meeting, we have a second question period then. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. I thought you were going to give Councillor Mazzoni's phone number to answer questions that we have directed
I
to
haven't
you.
yet memorized it, but one of these
Thank you
days
very
I
much.
will.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we should all give out Dino's telephone number, each one of us in turn.
Reporting from seat number 3 on matters pertaining to urban planning, finance and administration, and human resources, Councillor Colleen Feeney.
Good evening, bonsoir. Yes, thank you for joining us this election night. I will try to be as brief as possible, and I'm going to start off with administration and then finance. On the administrative side, I don't know if people are on the e-bulletin, but we wanted to announce that the town hall will be partially open to the public starting this week. They will be open 2 days a week, Tuesday and Wednesday, 4 hours a day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be restrictions in place, such as masking, signing in, maintaining a physical distance, number of people allowed into the office at any particular point in time. And as well, except for people with reduced mobility, we'll ask you to come into the front door only. And we also ask that anyone who is exhibiting signs of COVID-19, please not enter the town buildings. That's administration. We go on to finance. The mailing of the water meter cards to residents was done on September the 2nd, and the due date for the residents to submit their readings was September the 24th, is September the 24th. We encourage you to use the online form for submitting your reading. And if you're having difficulty with it, you can always submit a picture of your meter along with your online form, and so that will help us do the reading for you. If you do not submit your reading on time, of course, either by online or by phone or by returning your card, the amount will be estimated and you will be charged an additional $50 on your bill. Next up in the finance department, they have been busy continuing the process of the sale for the non-payment of taxes. This is in accordance with the law. 2 notices have already been sent to the property owners who have not paid taxes all the way back to 2019. The next steps involve information being relayed to various government departments and then posting of 2 public notices. If the taxes remain unpaid, there will be a public auction for the sale of the properties on November the 25th. Council will be passing a resolution to that effect later this evening. Other things that you will notice in our meeting later this evening is that we will be depositing the statement of comparative financial results as of August the 31st, 2021. These reports compare the actual to the budget as well as the prior year for revenues and expenses. Council did look at the reports, and with 67% of the year completed, I was pleased to see that despite the unpredictable nature of the kind of year we are having, and with the COVID situation, we are on track to stay on budget for both revenues and for expenses. So that's good news, and congrats to all our managers and to our treasurer for keeping us in line. Also, to be approved later this evening will be disbursements. This past 3 weeks, because we met 3 weeks ago, we've had disbursements of $3,193,632. That's quite large, particularly since it's only 3 weeks, but 95% of those expenses, or over $3 million, were for our second quote-part, our second payment to the AGLO for our annual payments for shared services. And of the remaining $150,000, it was comprised of $76,000 for deductions at source, benefits, and utilities, and basically $50,000 for capital projects and infrastructure, which included partial payments for Fenwick and also for some traffic lights at Avon. All right, on to urban planning. I'll do this one now. Okay, 20 permits were issued for the first 3 weeks of September for various projects. The next PAC meeting is September the 29th, and submissions for that were due on September the 15th. Due to the municipal elections, there are no PAC meetings scheduled for the month of October. The November PAC meeting is scheduled for November the 10th, and submissions would be due then on October the 27th. It should be noted that the town hall, although it's open 2 days a week, is mostly closed. We do encourage you still to make your permit applications online through the town's website, and the procedure is explained under urban planning. I also like to mention that to residents that I've written an article in the upcoming Informer related to the proposed zoning bylaw amendments that were discussed at last meeting and that can be found on the website. The article explains the process required to adopt such changes and points to the many opportunities that residents have to provide input at various times. We have not yet rescheduled the public consultations as we're not permitted to hold them in public yet due to the COVID restrictions. But rest assured that we will not be making any decision about the proposed amendments at this meeting. We will not, and we would not be able to until after a public consultation is held. So your input is vital. It will be asked for, and I encourage you to take a look at the article to understand the process. And lastly, the Seniors Committee. We did not meet this past month, but October 1st is National Day of Older Adults, and we will pass on any information about events in and around this area and online that could be of interest to seniors. So that's the end of my report. I ask you to stay healthy. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. If you have any questions, please forward them to me or send them to me by email during the month. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. And reporting from seat number 4 on matters pertaining to the environment, public works, and buildings, Councillor Maria Torres.
Thank you. Good evening. Bonsoir à tous. Since I'm the last one, I will be very brief. Let me start with public works. There will continue public trees and park maintenance for the rest of the fall, weather permitting. In addition to the tree maintenance, 30 new trees will be planted across town beginning in October. I would like to thank everybody who received a letter announcing or informing them that a tree was planted, and they got back to us. And I'd like to encourage everybody to follow the process. It is important that we keep on planting trees. For this month and the Informer, I wrote an article about why it's so important for us to keep on increasing our urban forest. And every time I do research, I find more and more beneficial, more benefits about the trees. And it is incredible, but we do need it. So I thank you so much for your collaboration and cooperation. Now, going back to public works, sidewalk repairs done by the public works crew will also continue during the fall. The installation of water and sewer pipes on Fenwick is near completion, and the sidewalk installation and road surfacing will be started in the coming weeks. Please note that the street sweeper continues to circulate around town, so please do not leave your vehicles parked on the street in front of your house unnecessarily. If you wish to know more about the schedule of the sweeper schedule, please, you can consult our town's website. Public Works has started getting their fleet winterized and getting ready, with everything that is required for the winter. Lastly, this is regarding our public buildings. The roofs at the town hall and at the Public Works building will be replaced next month. Those are major works happening in 2 of our main buildings in town. I don't have anything for the environment this month. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. You can send me an email, or a lot of you have my telephone number. Please contact me, and I will be happy to get back to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, please stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Next thing, we're going to go over to the first question period. And as I mentioned in the beginning of my report, the public was invited to ask questions for the first question period, and can be on any subject. And they were invited to send them along today via email. So the first question was actually asked before this period, but I wanted to make sure that everybody heard the answers. It's from Richard Morin 12 Wolseley South. 4 questions. How do you arrive at an amount of $100 a year for the arena project? How many years will Montreal-Westers be paying this $100 per year amount? What interest rate will taxpayers be paying for the arena loan? And how many actual taxpayer individual bills are sent out to Montreal-Westers? So the first question, the $100 goal that council has set for himself and validated via a survey. It is not a calculation as such. The other sources of financing will balance that financial picture. How many years will Montreal-Westers be paying this $100 amount? That's determined when the council adopts its loan bylaw, and then that's approved by the Minister of Municipal Affairs. What interest rate will the taxpayers be paying for the arena loan? Too early to say. It depends on the prevailing interest rates at the time when we adopt our loan bylaw. It's important to know too that because the grant is paid out over X number of years, whatever rate we pay is the same rate that the government pays us in interest for that same over the life of the loan. And how many actual taxpayers are sent out to Montreal-Westers? 1,576. Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Morin. Next question is from JJ Heisler, 25 Fenwick. Good day. Can you please provide some feedback on whether the town plans to install the same outdoor ice rinks as in 2020-2021? Thank you. Councillor Yulin, please.
Sure. Thank you very much, JJ, for your question. Well, yes, those outdoor ice rinks were very popular, and we will be installing them again for 2021-22. We won't necessarily have the same number of rinks. If you recall, last year we didn't have the arena, so now we're going to have the arena open. So, you know, we have to manage that as well. So there may be fewer rinks in Hodgson's Field. We had about 4 rinks going at that location. So we will definitely have outdoor rinks, one at Rugby, one at Davies, and a certain number at Hodgson's Field. I don't know how many there'll be. It will depend somewhat on our manpower and so on. So that's the plan anyway for 2021-22. Thanks very much for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thank you very much for your question, JJ Heisler. Next question comes from Robert Barnes, 227 Bedbrook. With a major construction underway at Westminster and Avon, an increasingly busy intersection of 5 streets, 3 very busy and 2 not, at odd angles, has the possibility of a roundabout or traffic circle been studied for safety and traffic flow considerations? An oddly configured intersection such as this one brings high risk of frontal and side impact collisions and would appear to me to cry out for such a study. Thank you. 7 to 10 years ago, or maybe a bit more than that, the town actually did have a study commissioned by some traffic engineers on that exact topic, Mr. Barnes. So the idea was at the time to put a traffic circle in there. And there was a couple of negatives that were brought up. One, the size of the traffic circle that would need to be in place would have bitten quite a chunk off the lot where the library was, quite a chunk off the lot in front of the town hall, and quite a chunk off of that empty space, which is not a big empty space anyway, where the gas metro installation is on the other side. But more importantly for us was the negative that traffic circles are great for moving traffic along, but they're actually detrimental to pedestrians because there are no stops. And that was a bit problematic for us. So because we have so many pedestrians between children getting off the bus going to Royal West and people crossing from the south side of the town to the center side of the town, it was problematic for us. So that was something that we followed their advice, and they said that it wasn't ideal for that corner. So thank you very, very much for your question, Robert Barnes. Next question comes from James Mullally, 110 Broughton. The previous answer to my questions regarding recycling being picked up by regular garbage trucks was that it goes to the recycling center. My question was, is this material being recycled? Are the materials such as metal, glass, cardboard, paper, etc., that is compressed in a garbage truck be properly sorted for recycling? Councillor Torres?
Yes, I'll be happy to answer this question. Thank you so much, Mr. Mullally. I like your question, but let me start by the second part first, whether the materials such as metal, glass, cardboard, paper, etc., is being properly sorted for recycle. Yes. The materials that are collected from our residents and everywhere else in Montreal-Ouest are taken first to Tri-Center, which is its responsibility is mainly, well, it has two. One of them is to sort out all this material. They separate them, they build these bales, and they're all sorted out: cardboard, white paper, color paper, etc. Secondly, they are responsible for selling the material to the recycling companies, and they sell it depending on the demand. Now, I do not have, now go back to your first question, which is this material being recycled? Yes, there is a large portion that is being recycled. However, I do not have the numbers or the information. So we have asked the administration to please validate these numbers so I can get it back to you. We have asked this, maybe our next meeting is on October 4th. Let's hope that we have those numbers so I can tell you and confirm to everybody else, because I do think it's something that a lot of us wants to know. What is being recycled? What's the portion of whatever we collect is being recycled? So hopefully we'll have that information by the 4th. And if not, I will personally write back to you and let you know the answer. Okay, so I hope that satisfies you today, and hopefully I'll have more information for next meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, James Mullally. Next question comes from Jerry Aronheim at 97 Brock North. When will the equipment necessary for tree trimming be back in service and tree trimming be caught up? Councillor Torres?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this question. Just to let you know that the tree trimming service, our tree trimming equipment is in service. It is working in order, so everything is in order. And that the town is still doing they're still trimming a lot of trees, and they would do it for the month, the next month, October. You do not mention if you need to have your tree in front of your house trimmed. If that is the case, please send an email to Public Works with your address and your request, or you can send it to me and I can forward it to them. But it's better that you send it to them, because it's good for them to keep all these records. But yeah, everything is working in order, and they're catching up and doing as much work as they can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Jerry Aronheim. Next question comes from Mark Lieberg at 61 Nelson Street. First question, regarding the new Arena Community Center. We've all seen the sketches and it's very exciting. Is there a residents committee that provides input on the needs and wants of the community? We have not started construction yet and plans are not finalized. Will there be a consultation period, and is there a residents committee? How can I become involved in the process, as I have great interest in the project, as do many people? And the second question is, I have put in a request under access to information. What is the reasonable delay for a response? So in response to your first question, Mr. Lieberg, we've had such great feedback from people looking to get involved with this very exciting project. So as I mentioned in the report, we're about to go to a call to tender for the architect or the engineer to design the project. And once the architect or engineer has been chosen, there will be some consultations involved in the final planning. In other words, the architect or engineer will will consult with certain groups in the town, certain representative groups, and we will make sure that there are opportunities for people to express opinions on what they'd like to see. But it's great to see such positive interest in this project, so I appreciate that. In terms of your second question, I put in a request under access information. I think the normal delay is 20 days, Mr. Lieberg, and I think after that, there's like another 10-day period that the town clerk can avail himself of. So it's basically, the answer is either 20 or 30 days. And there are some points for some ways for you to appeal any kind of decision on things that have been divulged or not divulged to you in the access to information bylaws. Sorry, I was a little bit disjointed. I apologize for that, Mr. Lieberg. Thank you very much for your question. Next question comes from Susan Superstein at 242 Valentine. Is it possible to fill the many holes on sidewalks with something? I had an accident and I'm still suffering. Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, thank you, Susan, for asking. As I mentioned before, Public Works is still repairing a lot of the sidewalks across town. However, not all of them can be repaired because they have to be wide enough to be able to put the cement to fill it up, or in the case of center streets, to put a little bit of asphalt to fill it up. But they're still doing the work. This summer, we did extensive work in some sidewalks that they were severely damaged. And now our crew is, for the next month, will continue to fix some of the sidewalks left. However, if you have a sidewalk, very specific sidewalk, a location, please take a photograph or send information to Public Works so they can look after it. Either that, or at the same time, you can send it to me, you can CC me. But please send it to Public Works and let them know if you have identified one where you had the accident, or one that you think that it needs to be done as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Susan Superstein. The next two questions, I normally group them together because they're for the same subject, but one's in English and one's in French. So I'm going to leave them separated and I'm going to answer each of them separately. The first question comes from Odile Le Boiron La Douceur. What is the status of the zone change? It seems that the opportunity to discuss it with citizens has been dropped. It is important to properly inform us of the changes made within a reasonable time before unchangeable decisions are made by the town hall. So to answer your question, as Councillor Feeney mentioned and is in her thing, and as I mentioned last council meeting, no decision has been made. In fact, we've delayed the whole process, consultation and zoning change, until we have an opportunity to be able to sit in the same room so we can have a fruitful public consultation. So nothing has been changed. Nothing will be changed until we can have that public consultation together. Thank you very much, Odile Le Baron La Douceur, for your question. And the next question, the same topic, but it was asked in French. It was asked by Reda Waba at 59 Westminster North. Plusieurs marchands sont préoccupés par le projet de changement de vocation de le stationnement public. Est-ce qu'il va y avoir une consultation publique sur ce sujet? Oui, la réponse est oui, monsieur Waba. Comme nous avons dit la dernière réunion du conseil, nous avons reporté la consultation publique parce que je n'aimais pas l'idée d'avoir une consultation d'une manière virtuelle. Alors, dès qu'on peut avoir une consultation où nous sommes tous dans la même chambre, que nous pouvons échanger sur les questions, les craintes, les doutes que les citoyens, soit résidentiels que commerciaux, peuvent exprimer, à ce point, une fois que nous avons eu cette consultation, à ce point, le processus va reprendre. Rien ne va se passer avant ça. OK, alors merci pour votre question, Reda Waba. Next question comes to us from Isa Hellfield, 151 Westminster North. Good evening. What is your policy and procedure regarding tree trimming? I have spoken to employees in Public Works Department several times over the past 2 years. They have assured me that my request was duly noted. I filled out the request form online. However, the trimming has yet to be done. I'm very concerned because the branches are too close to the upper windows and roofs of both 151 and 149 Westminster Avenue. Thank you for your attention, Isa Hellfield. Councillor Torres, if you can answer the question, please.
Yes, thank you for your question, Mrs. Hellfield. Usually the way it works, and as you know, after you send a request to Public Works, they will send someone to inspect your tree, and they would put it on a priority list. On top of that priority list are the trees that are dangerous to the public. They pose any danger to a resident that is walking by, or for the residents of the house. And at the bottom of the list, of course, is the aesthetic value. So some people request to have trees because they liked it to have it rounded off, or because the branch is longer than the other one, etc. I do not know why they have not done your tree. However, I would like to inquire it. So I'm going to pass it to Public Works. I'm going to talk to them to see what's happening. And I would like to get back to you with an answer to see when is they can go and what is the issue, why is the delay. Unfortunately, I cannot give you that information today, but I will as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Issa Healthfield. Next question comes from Andrea Palumbo, 125 Brock North. With another summer coming to a close, the safety of our block between Curzon and Nelson for pedestrians, cyclists, and anyone using a scooter of any type is becoming more of an issue. Multiple injuries have been sustained due to cracks in brakes and multiple sinkholes appearing. What is the town doing to address the state of roads on Brock North? And two, speed is a major issue as well. Why are there not more speed deterrents on this particular block? On multiple occasions, are signs to indicating children playing have been hit. I fear the worst. Thank you. So for the first portion, if I could ask Councillor Torres to address that, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking this question, Mrs. Palumbo. This is a question that is often asked to me, and I always feel very sorry of me, very bad to answer the question. Public Works every year, I mean, we are aware that Brock, and that section of Brock, the state of the road is horrible. The same thing with the sidewalks, and we do have a couple of other streets that are in the same situation. However, they do not qualify yet for us to get grants from the government to be able to fix it, and we cannot finance it ourselves, or the town cannot finance it by itself. So what is the town doing about it? We try to fill as many holes. We try to seal the cracks to stop the erosion of the foundation, and they try to fix the sidewalks. However, it's not enough because the condition is very poor. I agree with you. Every 3 years, that street gets considered and studied to see if it is bad enough for grants, and Public Works is keeping records of everything that is happening on that section of the street, and hopefully one day we'll get grants to fix it. We do push for it, believe it. However, in the meantime, we can just do that, fill holes, potholes, fill the cracks, and seal the cracks on the road. That's it. There is nothing else I can tell you, except that we will continue to look into it till one day you qualified, and we will be so happy to announce that the road can be reconstructed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Torres. And Dr. Palumbo, I just want to add that as one of our last cement streets, it's particularly problematic, and it's a sore spot for me to have it that way, but that's the way it is. And as Councillor Torres said, until we can qualify for funding, we can't tackle the street on its own, by itself. It's just too expensive for us to take it on by ourselves that way. And we just haven't been able to have it qualified yet for funding. For the second part of your questions, if I could ask Councillor Mazzoni to answer, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Palumbo. What I would say to you is, whenever we get a question regarding speed, or residents are concerned what they see or feel to be an increased level of speed on any given street, we try to approach this as empirically as possible. For the most part, someone's observations of speed may not be borne out in the facts. We're having one last traffic and safety committee before October the 4th. And what I will propose is that we at least consider at one point to put in, for example, a radar to perhaps look at the speed on that street at any given point in time to get a proper reading as to what you're seeing actually bears out in the numbers. And so, and if that is the case, then certainly at that point, we would look at certain traffic calming deterrents to reduce speed on that street. So I will make it a point, and you could certainly follow up with me, and I will follow up, of course, with you. Now, regarding the issue about the signs that may have been hit or destroyed, I mean, perhaps I will leave that as a question, Marie, if it's okay with you, for Public Works to see to what extent they can replace any of those signs that may have been hit or destroyed, because the question is not clear as to whether or not those signs may have been destroyed or are not functional anymore. To the extent that they aren't, then perhaps we would have to replace those. So.
I could be wrong, Councilor Mazzoni. I think Dr. Palumbo is referring to, those signs that residents put out, those little ones putting out.
The little individuals.
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what she's referring to.
But I don't know. Those are certainly not town signs, and that is disconcerting because the height of those signs is such that could certainly indicate a problem there. But anyhow, certainly on your first point, Mr. Palumbo, we will follow up with you, and I do appreciate very much your question. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni, and thank you for your question, Andrea Palumbo. Next question comes from Barbara Jones at 23 Campbell Avenue. I'm tired of having to remove dog poo bags from my garbage on Tuesdays. As far as I know, this item is not recyclable. but perhaps it could be noted in the informer another way to ask owners not to continue this habit. Thanks. Councillor Torres?
Yes, I'm sorry that people are doing that. This is horrible. To begin with, the dog poo bags do not go in recycling, nor is not compostable either. It only goes to the garbage bags or the bins. We were discussing this before this meeting, and we're going to look into to see what's the best way to inform the residents not to drop these bags in the wrong bins. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, and I do think it's worth an article or a mention in the informer. So we will look into it. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention.
Thanks again, Councillor Torres, and thanks for your question, Barbara Jones. Next two questions come from Mike Lee at 62 Promenade Ronald. First question, Ronald Park's grassy area and wood chips are not being regularly inspected, raked, or maintained by Public Works. There are crews regularly watering and weeding the town's gardens, but can we have a concrete schedule for the maintenance of the play spaces? And Davies Park is a high-use space and there are no public washrooms. I understand that COVID presents some issues, but most municipalities have figured this issue by now. Can we please have a quick and easy solution, porta potty, or access during the regular hours to a washroom? Lack of crew to maintain them should not be a valid reason. So for the first part, if I could ask Councillor Torres to address it, please.
Hi, Mike, and thank you for your question. Just to let you know that the parks, the grassy area and the wood chips, well, let me start by the parks. The parks are regularly maintained. Public Works go almost on daily basis to remove, for example, garbage. And if I'm trying to remember if that park has any flower beds, because the flower beds around town, across town, in every single park do get water regularly. However, we do not water the grass in any of the parks, only the flowers. When it comes to the chips, whether they get raked or not, they get raked as needed. So they do go often and inspect the parks and see if they're needed or not. And by needed, what happens is, as you know, because last year we did this work, we add a lot of chips to the existing one. We get rid of some of the ones that are not okay. And they're very fluffy. But with the time and use, they compress. And when they're really, really compressed, then we rake them. So that is part of the inspection. If you want to add something further, something specific, please let me know or send me an email. I would like to see what is, if you have something, specific. Other than that, this is the maintenance that is done, and it's done quite regularly on a weekly basis, I would say. That's all I have to say, Mike, and I hope I answered your question. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you, Councillor Torres. For the second part, and I just want to add that the question is being asked again by Lori Berbilius in the next question question concerning the restrooms at Davies Park. If I could ask Councillor Yulin, to address that, please.
Sure. Thanks very much, Mike, for your question, and Lori, who asked it as well. It's a good question. We discussed this at caucus before this meeting, and it's a very valid request, and one that we're going to be looking into now that it's been brought up. I don't have an answer for you right now because the admin has to go back and look at the logistics of what would be the best thing to do, whether it would be opening some of the buildings. You mentioned a porta potty. There are a couple of alternatives. But it's quite a valid request, and we'll be able to get back to you shortly with respect to what can be done. Certainly by the next council meeting, which is the first week in October, we'll have information, but perhaps before that. But thanks so much for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thanks for your question, Mike Haley. And the second part of Lori Berbilius from 77 Courtney Drive, can the town please provide a full explanation as to why the staircase between Ronald Drive and Courtney Drive cannot remain open all year round? My 3-year-old attends Little Learners Daycare, and one of the emergency exits is closed off as a result of the town's decision. Nothing is more important than the safety of our children. Just to be very, very clear, Lori, this is not a town decision that's changed recently. As long as I've been mayor, and I think even way before that, the town did not remove the snow on that staircase. They never took care of that staircase in the winter. It's too steep to be sending anybody down. And it's always been the case where the snow was not removed and that staircase was impassable during the winter. So it's not a recent decision. We've been in touch with Little Learners Daycare, and we've actually met with the owners, and we've said that their safety evacuation procedure cannot rely on that staircase that's not cleaned and has never been cleaned in the winter. So we suggested to them, and they're supposed to be speaking to the SIM to update and validate their plan for evacuation. There are other options in the building. We discussed that with the owner. There are other options there. The easy option is to have them go out there, but in the winter, that staircase is not clean. So they will have to come out with another plan and have it validated by the Service d'Incendie, the fire department on the island of Montreal. Thank you for your questions, Lori Brubilis. Next question comes from Stan Carney, 449 Wolseley Avenue North. 5 months ago, I questioned the display of flags, in front of City Hall. Surely you had time to inform yourself. Have you reached a conclusion, and when can we expect the appropriate change? To be clear, Mr. Carney, you asked the question May 31st, which was 4 months ago, but I do have the answer. According to the Quebec government website that showed an update June 25th, and I have the address if you ever you need it, the flag of a sovereign state takes precedence over the flag of a province or federated state, and then which takes precedence over the flag of a city. When there are 3 flags, the one with precedence is placed in the center, the next in order of precedence is to the left when you're facing the flags, and the third is to the right. So it should be the flag of Canada in the middle, it should be the flag of Quebec on the left, and the flag of the flag of Montreal-Ouest on the right. And that will be taken care of probably within the next few days from Public Works. What you saw in Montreal, I refer back to your old question, what you saw in Montreal may have been subject to the rule that says that if there's some ceremony that's organized by the government of Quebec, the Quebec flag must take precedence. So in that case, it would be in the middle. But like I said, I pulled this off from a Quebec website, a Quebec government website. So it's not somebody's interpretation, it's from the Quebec government itself. Thank you for your question, Stan Carney. And the last question comes to us from Natasha Schwartz, 231 Strathern North. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Street parking on the 200 block of Strathern North is virtually unavailable weekdays. The staff at Elizabeth Ballantyne use up all the available parking during the day. Residential permits may be a last resort, but might there be a less draconian solution? Thank you. Councillor Mazzoni, if you could address the question, please.
Yes, and thank you for your question, Natasha. This is a little bit of I guess a difficult one, given the fact that our roads and that school were built before we've seen the onslaught of everyone having a car, and way before, like when everyone used to walk to school. We can strictly enforce the 4-hour rule, but from past experience, what we've seen is that it's still not a guarantee that a parking spot will be available, as a little bit of experience has dictated or shown that teachers will sometimes come back at lunch and they'll shuffle their cars, and that same spot may be given or taken by someone else. So we're going to look at this issue. I do have a proposal before me from our PSO lieutenant, and I do want to look at it, but I want to discuss it in committee. And that'll be at the same time that I look at, I believe, Mr. Palumbo's question and some other questions that are on the table before the committee, and will be provided as recommendations to council. But it's a legitimate problem. I live right around that school. In fact, I live right in front of the school, and I see every day how people are just vying for that one spot that opens up. So we'll give it a go. We'll try to see if maybe we can look at shortening the time period that cars can park at from 4 to 2 hours. It's just an idea on the table, but we'll discuss it in committee and present something. I do thank you for your question, Natasha.
Thank you very, very much, Councillor Mazzoni, and thank you for your question, Natasha Schwartz. That's the end of the first question period. So we now move on to contracts and town clerk's office, order to sell immovables for non-payment of taxes. And as we mentioned before, there are 3 properties that have tax bills outstanding from 2019. So this is one of the steps that's involved with collecting that unpaid tax. And to be honest, for all the time that I've been involved in municipal politics, I don't think we've ever had to actually avail ourselves of a sale. Usually by the time it gets to this point, it's enough to get people moving and take care of their outstanding bill. So if I could have somebody move the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, whereas Section 484 of the Cities and Towns Act, CQLR Chapter C19, provides that arrears of municipal taxes shall be prescribed by 3 years, whereas the Treasury Department drew up, in accordance with Section 511 of the Act, a statement showing that 3 immovables on which the taxes assessed for 2019 have not been paid as of September 9th, 2021. Whereas in August 2021, the Treasury Department sent to the owners of these immovables, on which the taxes are still unpaid for 2019, 2 notices to inform them that their property could be sold for non-payment of taxes in accordance with the law. And whereas Section 512 of the Cities and Towns Act provides that council, having taken cognizance of the statement filed by our treasurer, may order the town clerk to sell such immovables at a public auction. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, I move 1, that council order the town clerk to sell at a public auction the immovables mentioned on the attached list for non-payment of taxes on November 25th, 2021 at 2 p.m. in the music room at the town hall located at 50 Westminster Avenue South, Montreal-West. 2, that the town clerk be authorized to undertake the proceedings required to give effect to this resolution. And finally, Mr. Mayor, that the treasurer be authorized to bid on behalf of the town for the amount of arrears in real estate taxes plus interest and costs.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. Could I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Administration and Finances, number 10.8, approval of disbursements for August 28th to September 15th.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the list of accounts payable from August 28th to September 15th, 2021, totaling $3,193,632 be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
I seconded.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Délégation des pouvoirs pour le mois de septembre 2021.
Oui, je propose que soient approuvés les rapports du directeur général concernant l'exercice des pouvoirs délégués au vertu du règlement numéro 2005-002 pour le mois de septembre 2021.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
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 Merci. Thank you very much. Budget transfer for municipal elections. We'd set aside a certain amount to cover the municipal elections coming up, but with the restrictions involved with the pandemic, there are needs for more people, more spaces, and more resources. So the amount that we have budgeted wasn't enough, and we have to increase that amount. So that's what this next motion is about, this next resolution is. If I could have somebody move the motion, please.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Whereas an amount of $80,000 was budgeted for elections from the allocated surplus, whereas the situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing restrictions and requirements decreed by the government make it unlikely that the expenses incurred will respect the forecast based on past normal circumstances. Therefore, I move that an amount of $40,000 from the unallocated surplus 55-991-00-000 be transferred to the allocated surplus 55-992-00000 and marked for elections. And secondly, that any and all expenses incurred for the 2021 elections be charged to the budget code 02-140-00418.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, excuse me, can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Internet service contract. if we're extending the contract that we have with Videotron for the internet services they're providing. I think there's actually a little bit of a savings compared to a contract that we had last time. So if I could have somebody move the resolution, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move that the town of Montreal-West enter into contract with Videotron to provide internet service at the Black Tower, Town Hall, Community Center, and Public Works offices for the term of 36 months. That the total rent, not including taxes, be Block Tower, $1,820.16, budget code 02716-00335. Town Hall, $3,958.20, budget code 02130-00335. Community Center, $3,238.20, budget code 02715-00335. Public Works Department, $3,238.20, budget code 02310-00335, for a total of $12,254.76. And lastly, that the treasurer be authorized to sign this contract on behalf of the town, effective September 1st, 2021.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
Mr. Mayor, I second the resolutions.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mazzoni, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks. Number 11, Urban Department, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program. Councillor Feeney, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move first to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on September 15th, 2021. Second, to defer the examination of the following plans to a next meeting of this council in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 325 Brock North, replacement of front stairs, landings, and railings. 83 Ballantyne North, renovation of the front vestibule and replacement of stucco on the entire house, replacement of front stairs, landing, and railings, as well as the replacement of windows and doors. 161 Strathern North, construction of an extension on the second floor, and 153 Strathern North, reconstruction of a dormer.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next one is a minor exemption request at 227 Brock North, and this is for the sale of a house. So if I could ask Councillor Feeney just to give us a quick précis, please.
Okay, well, as the mayor has mentioned, it's a real estate transaction, so it's not a new construction at all, and it relates to a garage which is now on the lateral property line, and our current bylaws say that it should be set back by 1 meter, and it is currently set back by 0 meters, as most garages built many, many years ago are. So this is just to normalize that. So I move, oh, sorry. I'm not.
Please,
No,
go
you
ahead.
I can go ahead. Okay, I move that the plans and requests submitted to the August 25th, 2021 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G18-0005 for the following minor exemptions from section 4.1.9 and paragraph 15 of section 4.1.10 regarding the immovable located at 227 Brock North in zone RA4 to normalize the setback of a detached garage with a southwest lateral setback located at a distance of 0 meters from the property line, while the minimum is of 1 meter. The consequence being to reduce this requirement by 1 meter.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Numéro 12 des travaux publics, une entente relative à le déplacement d'un poteau électrique sur le lot 12-92-19-6. S'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Alors, ceci est la résolution actuellement qu'on a amendée pour la soirée. On a fait référence au début de la réunion. Alors, Monsieur le maire, Attendu que le promoteur immobilier, le développement Easton SEC, The Easton Development LP, a entrepris de construire un immeuble d'usage mixte sur le lot cité en titre de la présente résolution. Attendu qu'il sera nécessaire de déplacer un poteau d'Hydro-Québec dans le cadre de ce projet. Attendu que la Ville peut présenter à Hydro une demande de déplacement à cet effet dont elle devra assumer les frais, les travaux étant réalisés par un sous-traitant de Hydro. Attendu que la Ville est disposée à faire une telle demande en autant que le promoteur lui rembourse tous les coûts occasionnés plus 15% de frais d'administration et attendu que le promoteur et la Ville se sont entendus, à cet effet. Alors, Monsieur le maire, je propose, numéro 1, que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest conclue une entente avec le promoteur surnommé concernant le remboursement par ce dernier de toutes les dépenses encourues par le déplacement d'un poteau d'Hydro-Québec suivant les termes convenus par échange de courriel les 9 et 20 septembre 2021 et 2, que la directrice générale de la Ville, Maître Raphaël Di Stasio, soit autorisée à signer tout document nécessaire aux fins de la présente résolution.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Oui.
Just to give a little quick resume for that, there's a pole that's in the middle of the reconstruction project that's at the corner of Avon, Westminster. There's a hydro pole there. And basically, the town is going to ask Hydro or make the request to Hydro-Quebec to move that pole so the construction work can continue. And any fees that the town incurs to have that application done, the contractor will reimburse plus an administration fee of 15%. So that's something just to help make that go a little bit quicker. Then we're going down to dépôt du document. Un état comparatif des revenus et dépenses au 31 août 2021 ont été déposés avec le conseil ce soir. Just to let you know, as Councillor Feeney mentioned in her report, that a comparative statement of revenues and expenses up to the period 31 August 2021 was deposited with Council tonight. Second question period. La deuxième période des questions s'applique seulement sur les questions engendrées sur l'agenda ce soir. And I see that no questions have come in. So there will be no second question period. So si je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer la levée de séance, s'il vous plaît.
Alors, Monsieur le maire, je propose que, excusez-moi, j'ai perdu ma place, de lever la séance, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Thank you very much. Merci tout le monde. Thanks for being with us, everybody. Please stay safe. We're in the middle of another nasty period, it seems, so don't take anything for granted. Please continue to be safe, stay healthy. Ça semble qu'on est pas mal plein dans la 4e vague. Alors, s'il vous plaît, soyez toujours prudents et restez en bonne santé. Je vous souhaite une bonne soirée. Have a good evening, everybody.